Alright, what is going on, guys? It's Tazz here, and welcome back to the channel. Now today what I've got for you guys is my Injustice 2 review. Now, ever since Injustice 2 was actually revealed at E3, I think it was last year, I was always just really excited to play it. I had always enjoyed the first Injustice game, and I just sort of always liked the one-on-one fighting DC games. I've never really played like Mortal Kombat and stuff. I mean, I played it, but I never really got too much into it, but the first Injustice game was sort of where I really got into it and everything, and I was just super excited to see another Injustice game. And I mean, as I'm sure you guys are aware, I really love DC Comics and everything, and I love video games, and so, I mean, when you put those two together, you got yourself a great game. Now, going back to the first Injustice game for a second, I always liked sort of the story mode of having an alternate universe with an evil Superman. I always think that it's pretty cool whenever they make sort of a big hero turn them into a villain, or make a villain turn them into a hero. So I had always really liked this sort of the concept of Superman being a bad guy, sort of how that would affect the entirety of the DC universe and everything. And I thought that the first Injustice game did a really good job of that, with having like alternate Earths and having sort of a set of the Justice League come over from one Earth to the other Earth with the evil Superman and everything. But this game, it sort of simplified it a bit. It's all set on that Injustice Earth with the evil Superman, and that's not a bad thing though that they've simplified it. I think it's better to sort of make it a little bit easier for people that are just getting into Injustice now, sort of make it a little bit less confusing. But I really loved the story mode of this game and sort of the way that they played it out. And without getting really into too many story spoilers or anything, it's really cool how you get to make certain choices throughout the game that don't really affect the end of the game until you really get to the end. You have one decision that will affect the ending. There are two alternate endings, but like I said, without getting into too many spoilers for the campaign or the story mode, I really enjoyed it, and I thought that this was a great story mode. And I mean, the graphics of this game are just absolutely amazing. I think that it's like a pretty revolutionary thing also. I mean, because if you guys pay attention to like the faces and sort of the facial expressions and everything, the movement on the faces is just so good. I mean, you can tell like when people are talking, you can kind of like see their throats move, and you can see like different, like you can see like wrinkles in their face and everything when they're talking, and like moving their eyes and everything. It looks really good, and I just think that this is sort of going to be the new standard for games going forward. And as I did mention before, in the story mode, there really is no universe hopping at all, but there is a multiverse mode that sort of replaces the battle mode of the first Injustice game, sort of the ladder mode of the game that sort of lets you choose one character, go up against a whole bunch of the other characters in the game, and it sort of gives you different challenges to complete and gives you different modifiers in the battles to sort of make it more difficult for you to actually complete it. And then there's also sort of the multiverse endings that you can do that gives you a specific story ending that doesn't really have anything to do with the overall story of the actual story mode of the game, but it gives you a little bit more story for each of the characters that you actually complete the battle mode with. And outside of the battle mode and the story mode that are a little bit different than the first game, then there's really not much difference other than obviously the updated graphics and everything, which look absolutely amazing in the campaign and cutscenes, as well as when you're actually playing the game. Like all the scenery and everything, all the maps look so good, all the characters look so good, all of the designs are really awesome and everything for the characters. And they also have really cool like little intro dialogues that everybody has, sort of specific intro dialogues, a few different sort of possibilities that they can have depending on which character is going up against which other character. Like obviously there's some really cool dialogue between Batman and Superman, Batman and Robin, stuff between like Green Arrow and Black Canary. You know, there's all this awesome sort of all this awesome like before you fight, sort of the intro dialogue, and also the clash dialogue, which is also really cool and definitely majorly improved from the first game. And obviously, just like in the first game, you can play local against another person with another controller that's right next to you, or you can play against the AI, or you can go online and just play like 1v1s, or you could play King of the Hill or whatever really that they had in the first game. They have it in multiplayer in the second game as well. I did run into a few server issues, but I'm gonna just sort of leave that up to the game that just came out. The servers are having a little bit of problems at the beginning, as do most games with the multiplayer right when the game comes out, but I'm sure after an update or two it should be fixed. Now, moving over to actual gameplay mechanics and the changes of this game, it's almost night and day compared to the first game. Like, if you did play the first Injustice game, this will feel very similar to you. If you've played the most recent Mortal Kombat game, this will feel very similar, but it just feels so smooth. Everything just sort of flows very well. All the combos feel so nice to do and everything. And like in the first game, it kind of felt a little bit clunky every once in a while. The movement was kind of slow, but in this game, they've sort of just taken everything that you could find problems with in the first game and just 100% improved on it. Like, all of the combos and everything feel so much smoother, you're walking so much easier, and sort of a lot of the crazy stage transitions that would just be like absolutely crazy and take down basically like half your health bar have actually sort of been changed a little bit, so the stage transitions aren't as crazy as they were in the first game. There are a couple of crazy stage transitions, but they're not as crazy. And I mean, the super moves in this game are just absolutely awesome. Everybody has a really, really cool super move that does quite a bit of damage, and I just think that it's just a major improvement from the first game. Moving over to the characters in the game, there are a lot of characters returning from the first game, obviously, like Batman, Superman, Joker, all those guys are coming back, Wonder Woman's coming back, everybody. Basically, a lot of the main characters from the story mode of the last game are coming back. Even characters that have died are coming back, like Green Arrow is supposed to be dead on the Injustice Earth, but they are bringing over an alternate Earth version of Green Arrow into the story mode of the game, just sort of like I said, not major multiverse travel, but a little bit of multiverse travel. And then they also have a lot of new awesome characters that they've brought to the game, like Black Canary they've brought to the game, Supergirl, they've brought Dr. Fate, they've brought a whole lot of cool DC characters that we've always wanted into the game that they're actually have brought into the game with Injustice 2. Now, on the subject of characters, they have added this new system into the game called the gear system, which actually allows you to open up these mother boxes, which are, I guess you could compare them to either supply drops in Call of Duty or the battle packs of Battlefield or the loot boxes of Overwatch. They're basically what they are is just sort of these mother boxes that you open. You get different tiers of them you can open to get different types of gear for all of your characters. You have different rarities of gear, and these gear, not only do they change the look of your characters to make them look a lot cooler, but they also change the stats of your character to give you more strength and health and defense and things like that to sort of make your characters better when you're playing in certain game modes, like in the multiverse mode, or if you're playing in an online mode where they actually have the gear advantages turned on. Now, the only problem that I could see with this gear system is that somebody that has played the game a lot could have some really good gear, versus somebody that's played the game a lot could have some gear that's not as good as that person, just because of RNG and because you can't really tell what kind of gear you're gonna get from your mother boxes. You know, is somebody could have a whole bunch of epic gear versus somebody that doesn't have a whole bunch of epic gear, and they've played the exact same amount of time with the same characters or something, and they're just gonna beat you strictly because they have better gear than you. And that's sort of one problem that I could see with the gear system, kind of like supply drops in Call of Duty, but we shall see as we go on in the life cycle of the game. And outside of gear, there are other ways to change the look of your characters through premiere skins, which are basically like the different costumes that you had in the first game that you sort of bought as DLC. In this game, you can get them through the method of source crystals by just sort of playing the game. You get a small amount of source crystals by playing the game. I've been playing since release. I've played quite a bit. I have about 10 hours in the game, I think, so far, and I have about 9,000 source crystals, almost 10,000, and you need 6,000 to buy a premiere skin. I'm going to save mine up just to see if any new cool premiere skins come out for some of the characters that I play as a lot, but I did get the Ultimate Edition, so I do have Power Girl, Reverse Flash, and John Stewart Green Lantern, and I did link my mobile to the console version and did get the Grid premiere skin, and so far I really like the premiere skins in the game. I just feel like you should be able to get source crystals a bit faster in the game. There should be sort of better ways to get source crystals other than just sort of having to grind a whole bunch. But you can also buy them, and the premiere skins don't really change anything gameplay wise, but they just make your characters look cooler, and I do really like the premiere skins so far. Just that's sort of the only thing. There's a little problem that I see with it, but I mean, other than that, guys, I've just been really enjoying Injustice 2 lately. I haven't really been playing video games this grindy in a while, and I really love that. I do love the grind of video games sometimes. I like grinding on Destiny and things like that for higher gear. I like grinding on Injustice 2 now, playing the multiverse mode a whole bunch playing with friends on the game, and I've just been really enjoying it. So let me know what you guys think of Injustice 2 so far. Have you gotten it? Are you holding off, and has this review sort of made you want to get the game now? I'm going to know your thoughts down in the comments below. But until next time, guys, it's been Tazz, and I'll see you guys in the next video.